We start off at a seemingly normal Korean high school. Our main character is sitting quietly and alone at a table. He seems to be staring in front of him at seemingly nothing. Then suddenly someone opens the door. A classmate of the main character walks in. Apparently his name is Choi Sevajang. The other classmates seem to like him and welcome him happily. A classmate asks Sejing if he sold another chapter today. Apparently he is a manga writer. He looks smug and says that he did, and as a matter of fact, he sold 48 million won worth of chapters. Everyone looks shocked and congratulates him, and tells him that they should grab a drink to celebrate. He agrees, but he mentions that they have to do something before that. He grabs our main character Park Han-jun's head and smashes it into the table. He asks him why Han-jun ignored him, and if he bought his new chapter. He looks angrily at Han-jun, and asks if he wants to ruin his business, while he keeps smashing his head into the table. He tells him that even an animal understands what he is saying. The other classmates seem to enjoy Sejing beating Han-jun, and ask, "Are you not worried that he is going to snitch?" He brags that he already bribed the teacher, so he will not do anything even if he decided to talk. He confidently says that if the teacher did something, it would be a massacre while he is still hitting Han-jun. Sanjang notices something, and when he looks at Han-jun, he stares at him with a scary but determined look. He mocks him for looking at him and dares him to do something. He keeps hitting him while threatening to say that he would sue him if he did. He smiles and says that he got into this situation because he went against Kim Chun-soo, and that screwed up his life and made him poor. He mockingly says, "Do you think you can pay that price again?" while he taunts him to say something. Han-jun is thinking about Kim Chun-soo, and it brings him back to 2 years ago. A high school gang was taking over the whole country. They were named Nexus. Han-jun apparently started a war with Nexus, specifically with their head Chun-soo. When Han-jun thought he had finally won the war after beating everyone, Nexus filed a lawsuit against him. They all lied and told a different story than the one that took place. They went as far as to fabricate evidence against Han-jun, and because of that, he lost the trial. His father lost the gym he worked his whole life for to pay for the settlement money that Nexus was demanding. After that happened, Han-jun swore that he would never again fight again while crying and apologizing to his father. His father hugs him and smiles. He tells him that he should not cry. That is when Han-jun realized that without money you will always lose in the end. Han-jun is walking home from school when a group of guys walks past him, heading towards a peach cafe. One of them turns around and notices Han-jun and tells his friend that that is Park Han-jun. They confirm that it is him and they say that he is the guy who fought Nexus, but he lost in the end. They look menacingly and walk excitedly toward Han-jun while taking their jacket off. They mockingly say, "Nice to meet you," and the leader asks if he recognizes his ring. They take Han-jun to an alley and proceed to beat him up. While hitting him, they question if this really is Park Han-jun. They taunt him for being weak and proceed to kick him. They ask if he maybe was a weakling all along, and how did he ever start a fight with Nexus. He even sold out his own father, which seems to upset Han-jun, as he catches the foot while he was being kicked. He looks surprised, and Han-jun looks furiously back at them. Han-jun then looks back and apologizes because he felt shitty for a moment. They instinctually get scared and step back. They realize they were intimidated just by him glaring at them, and they get angry. The leader picks up a wooden stick and proceeds to hit Han-jun in the face with it. He keeps hitting him while taunting him about how weak and beneath him he is. After a while and a few broken sticks later, they decide to leave Han-jun. While walking off, they comment about how they wasted their energy. Suddenly, someone appears and says he does not understand. They look around and see someone standing over Han-jun looking confused. The guy asks Han-jun what he is doing, and if he maybe is afraid that he has to pay damages again. He mentions that he should have hit him back, and if he was worried about a potential lawsuit, he did not have to worry. He offers to pay for any lawsuit that could happen and shows Han-jun a bag full of money. He says that with this money it would be more than enough to get a lawyer, or if he just wants to beat them up to pay for the damages. The guy asks him how long it would take for Han-jun to beat them up. Han-jun looks at the money and then at the guy and asks him who he is. He answers someone who wants to beat Kim Chun-soo. He mentions that he cannot get into details because too many people are listening. The group of guys come back and look surprised at all the money on the ground. They ask Han-jun if he is rich, and if he told them, they would not have hit them. Out of nowhere, Han-jun hit him in the face with his elbow so hard that he loses some teeth and breaks his nose. He even flies back a few feet and his friends look shocked. While they are confused about how their leader is lying on the ground unconsciously from just one hit, Han-jun walks up to them. He then tells the guy 4 seconds, and he looks at him confused. Han-jun looks back and reassures that 4 seconds will be more than enough. Han-jun walks up to the group, and they tell him to stop. They let him know that they did not hit him, but Han-jun looks at them, seemingly not caring. He then hits one of them in the face and the other one in his stomach. They both immediately fall to the ground and remain there unconscious. While he stands over the bodies of the group that just bullied him, he tells the guy that helped him that he can talk now and asks him who he is. He brings Han-jun to his office and asks him if he does not watch the news. He shows him a newspaper where he is featured in. Apparently the guy is a self-made CEO and is named Oh Jung-woo. He brags that he is so rich that he can do anything with his money and apologizes if that was obnoxious. He asks Han-jun if he knows what life Kim Chun-soo is living right now. They praise him in the news because he is an upstanding student that is now turned into a pro gamer. Jun-woo laughs angrily and asks if he can believe that people are saying that about him. While behind the scenes they are still doing gang-related stuff and the people that went against him are all living in hell. He tells him it is not hard to make everything come out about Chun-soo, but that is not what Jun-woo wants. He wants to use all the methods that he used to get where he is against him. He tells Han-jun that he will give him all the money he needs to get back at Kim Chun-soo. He is also going to help his father's gym, as well all he needs to do is fight for him. Han-jun asks why he hates Kim Chun-soo and Jun-woo answers if that reason is important. He will find out soon enough. Han-jun walks toward class the next day with new energy and a lot of money backing him. Se-jang is bullying his other classmates and extorting money from them. His friends laugh and tell them they should have already bought it. Han-jun walks towards Se-jang, who is not paying attention and still talking. He finally notices Han-jun and asks him what his problem is. While the words that Jun-woo told him still echo in his head, Se-jang threatens to beat him up again. Han-jun's hands ache, and he turns them into a fist. He then proceeds to hit Se-jang in the face with a sound that can be heard throughout the whole school. Everyone looks shockingly at Han-jun when Se-jang falls to the ground while losing a few teeth. Han-jun stands over him, menacingly realizing that money is everything. He used to fear absolutely nothing in this world. The reason was that no one was ever stronger than him. He looked down on everyone he faced until he met Han-jun. Se-jang felt a gut feeling throughout his whole body. That Han-jun was someone who he could never win against. Han-jun is so strong that he can't even be considered human. He is more akin to a savage beast. The reason why Han-jun was defeated was because Kim Chun-soo used money to make Han-jun yield. That's when Se-jang realized that money is everything, and that is when he started to get obsessed with making money. At first, he opened a shopping mall where he would force everyone around him to buy from it. That is how he made money. He then forced Park Han-jun to do whatever he wanted. With that, he got back to being at the top of the food chain. What Se-jang does not understand is why he is getting hit at the moment. Se-jang was getting beaten up by Park Han-jun, the same person who he controlled with money. Se-jang throws a desperate right hook, but Han-jun invades it easily. Han-jun then trips him and gives him a knee in his face. Se-jang can't believe he is getting beat up by someone he considers a poor beggar. He sees his classmates looking at him, and he curses them for doing so. While Han-jun hits him with the final blow, and Se-jang gets hit in the face, he thinks about how embarrassing this all is. He hits the wall and wants to stand up, but when he sees Han-jun walking toward him, he gets scared. He remembers that Han-jun is a true animal and remembers why he feared him. Han-jun looks at him like a lion who is ready to eat his prey. Se-jang calls out to his friend Jo Young-jun, but when he looks at Han-jun, he realizes that he is too much to handle, so he ignores him. Se-jang sees it and calls him useless. Se-jang tries to threaten Han-jun again by saying that he has to pay for the damages again like last time. Han-jun does not care and proceeds to kick Se-jang in the face. During the hits, Se-jang realizes one thing he forgot. Han-jun punches hurt. They really fucking hurt. He gets scared that he will die if Han-jun keeps going, so he flees the classroom. He runs away thinking that he does not want to die like this. He tries to calm down and think of a plan. He realizes that it has been 2 years since Han-jun last fought. He runs to another class to see Park Seong, who does anything for money and works out a lot. Seong looks confused and asks what's wrong with his face. Se-jang begs him to help him while Han-jun is still following him. He offers Seon a lot of money to defeat Han-jun. Seong tries to change the price so he can get a higher reward. Se-jang agrees because Seong is really strong apparently. Seong walks up to him and says he is sorry, but he needs the money for college. Han-jun looks at him and asks him if he needs money for college. Seong looks confused, and then Han-jun hands him a stack of money. He tells him to take the money and that he can get lost. Seong looks at it and thanks him for the support and points him towards Sanjang. Sanjang calls him a traitor while Han-jun walks up to him. Han-jun hits him so hard, he flies out the window of the classroom. He falls in front of a teacher who is surprised and asks what is going on. The teacher is surprised to see Han-jun walk out of the classroom towards Sanjang. He yells at him to ask what he is doing and Han-jun stares back uninterested. They then get brought to the principal office where the teacher is slamming the table and asking how he could beat his friend up like that. The teacher tells him that he overlooked him in the first year, but this time he won't be so lucky. Sanjang is enjoying this and shows Han-jun his middle finger. He looks smug and Han-jun stays quiet while the teacher goes on about how he should feel bad. Then he hits Sanjang in the face in front of the teacher. Editor's note: damn. The teacher is shocked and asks if Han-jun is crazy. Han-jun keeps going and keeps hitting Sanjang in the face. Sanjang realizes one important thing: he is fucked. Then, suddenly someone walks into the room and tells Han-jun that he can stop. Han-jun looks up and quietly sits down. The teacher asks who he is, and he tells him he is a lawyer at the biggest law firm in the city. The teacher looks confused and asks what is going on. When Han-jun arrives at the office, he asks Jinwoo what he did because after the lawyer was finished, the principal apologized and Sanjang was kicked out of school. Jinwoo asks if it was that easy this time. He also remarks that Sanjang got what he deserved because he bullied Han-jun. Han-jun asks what he did with the principal and Jinwoo tells him that he was the easiest to submit. They had a lot of blackmail on him that they showed him to keep him quiet. Jinwoo mentions that he is not done with him, but they have to leave him for later. They need him if they want to send Sanjang to prison. Then afterward, they will send the principal to prison as well. Because Jinwoo did not pay his taxes for a principal like that. Jinwoo asks how Han-jun feels after finally fighting back and if he feels thankful. Han-jun says that he feels a little thankful. Jinwoo smiles and asks a little. He agrees there is still too much that has to be done before he can be fully thankful. Jinwoo looks back and tells Han-jun that they are going to work well together. Han-jun quietly looks back with a determined look on his face. At home, cursing about what happened to him. He repeatedly slams his fist on his desk. He yells fuck and curses Park Han-jun for putting him in this situation. He slams his fist on his desk one last time, and when looking at his fist, he thinks that it is not over. He looks determined to take revenge even if it kills him. Sanjang is walking through a neighborhood with his hood up to hide his identity. He is seen going to an apartment complex, and when he arrives, he calls someone to open the door. A scary-looking guy opens the door and asks who he is. Sanjang answers that he is President Choi and that he is here to check on his request. The man is confused and keeps staring at Sanjang. When suddenly he opens the door fully and tells him that he is on time while smiling. When he opens the door, Sanjang can see people beating someone with a baseball bat. The guy lets everyone know that Choi came, but they don't seem to stop hitting the guy. Their leader, who is currently running away from home, looks up. His name is Jin Seong. The guy who is getting beaten is saying Mr. Choi apparently took revenge because he took Han-jun's money. San looks back and tells him that this will bite him. Jin Seong hits him hard in the back of his head with a baseball bat and tells everyone to clean the mess up. Choi looks back and says that he is sure of it. The leader asks what is going on and why came by himself this time because he never does. Choi says that today he is there to make a big request. The leader laughs and asks how big of a request. Choi looks back seriously and says 10 million won. They'd all look shocked and say that that is a lot of money. A lackey tells Jin Seong that he should not think about it and that he should do the deal immediately. Jin Seong instantly hits his lackey in the face with his baseball bat. Choi looks confused at what just happened. Jin Seong tells him that the amount is too low and threatens his lackey that he should be quiet if he doesn't want to get hit again. He tells Choi that the guy he wants them to get must not be a normal guy because of the amount Choi is offering. Choi looks back and tells him the guy he wants to get is Park Han-jun. Jin Seong looks confused and then asks him if he is crazy. He tells him that beating up Park Han-jun is practically bullying because he never hits back. Choi cuts him off and tells him that 10 million is just the deposit and that if they succeed, he will double the money. Jin Seong is quiet for a second. He then looks back smiling and he says that it is a deal. We arrive at a small burned house that looks out of place with two tall buildings next to it. Jinwoo walks into the house with a bag, and when he gets inside he yells that he is home. He apologized that he took a while to come by, and as an apology, he brought chicken. He sits down on the couch and tells him that from now on he will bring fried chicken, apparently their father used to make some delicious fried chicken. We see that Jinwoo is talking to a picture of an unknown family. He tells them that he thinks about it sometimes, and he remarks that it has been 2 years since he last ate it. Jinwoo gets quiet and looks down while talking to himself, realizing it has been 2 years. He looks angrily in front of him and says that it still feels like yesterday. He stands up and says that he has got to go. He will be busy in the future, so he won't come by for a while. The things that he was preparing are finally progressing. He walks outside where Jinwoo's assistant tells him that Choi has made his move and asks if they should go ahead and deal with that. Jinwoo tells him that he knows Jinwoo's ways and that he does not do things neatly. The assistant smiles and says that it is just the employer's discretion. At Han-jun's place, the father of Han-jun is calling someone who wants to offer him a job. They offer high pay and want to see him tomorrow, so he can start. He then hangs up the phone confused. Then he gets really excited and proceeds to rough up Han-jun's hair, telling him he got a job. Han-jun congratulates him and his father questions why everything has been going so well lately and wonders if they are going to become rich. Han-jun walks off and tells him that he has to go work out, and his dad tells him that he should come home early so they can eat something delicious. Han-jun confirms he will, and his dad is euphoric about getting the job. When walking away, we can see Han-jun cracking a faint smile. When walking down the stairs, Han-jun gets a phone call. He answers hello, and Jinwoo tells him that Choi made his move. Jinwoo tells him that he hired some runaways as mercenaries, but also tells him he is not too worried about it and that he should contact him if they come. Han-jun walks outside and tells Jinwoo that he does not need to contact him. Jinwoo asks why, and Han-jun tells him that he already found them. Jin Seong tells Han-jun that it is nice to meet him. Han-jun asks who he is while a car is driving toward him. Han-jun notices the car and sees it driving at high speeds toward him. Jin Seong's lackey is behind the wheel and laughs that he wants to go for the 20 million. Jinwoo looks back surprised. He takes a big step and runs towards the car. Everyone looks shocked, and Jinwoo jumps on the hood of the high-speeding car. He jumps over the car and lands with his face on the ground, causing him to bleed. The lackeys laugh and ask if he is dumb, but Jin Seong tells them he isn't. Even though he just got hit, Jinwoo manages to stand up slowly. He takes a breath and then looks furious at them as he tells them that he is really pissed now. Everyone stares at Jinwoo while getting into a fighting position. Jin Seong thinks that even though Han-jun did not fight for a while, he is still very athletic. But it does not mean that he is not wounded. People in their apartment had taken notice and started coming out and wondering what is going on. Jin Seong smiles and tells his lackeys to get into the car. When they get into the car, he tells them they should take off and tells Han-jun that he will see him later. They step on the gas and take off. Han-jun looks and takes off, running towards the car at high speed. They can't believe that Han-jun is running after a moving car and are taunting him for even trying. Until Han-jun almost catches up with the car, which makes them in disbelief. Han-jun jumps on the speeding car, and when he lands on top of the car, he gets ready and punches the back window of the car. He grabs a lackey from the inside of the car by his collar and drags him to the outside of the car. They both fall out of the car, and Han-jun is holding the lackey down by his head. The other guys ask Jin Seong what they should do because Han-jun has Kim Soo-ho, but he answers that they should keep driving. The lackey is shocked and asks in disbelief if he means it. Jin Seong looks pissed and tells them to keep driving. Kim wakes up and feels his head hurt because he fell out of the car. When Han-jun stands over him and greets him with a calm "Hey." Han-jun, who looks furious, then asks him where they are going. Kim answers that he has no idea where they are going. Han-jun punches him in the face and holds him up by his collar. He then asks again, furious, that he has to answer. Kim still does not want to Han-jun anything and taunts him. Han-jun asks him again to answer while hitting Kim in the face again, then harder. Jin Seong is at home celebrating today by drinking alcohol with his lackeys. He tells them that they did great today and that they should not drink too much. Choi sits there looking furious when he puts his glass loudly on the table. He asks if this is a joke because they were not able to catch Han-jun, but they are celebrating as they did. He tells them they should have finished the job, and what if Han-jun comes to this place? Jin Seong chuckles and the lackeys look nervous. He tells Choi that he understands that he thinks coming here was not a good idea, but he should not get angry over the small stuff. He asks Choi if he ever heard that there are knives for killing chickens and knives for killing oxen while holding his glass. He then breaks his glass and then tells Choi that he ordered them to catch a tiger. He holds the broken glass close to Choi's face while saying that there is no knife that can kill a tiger. That's what Jin Seong thinks at least. He asks Choi if he knows how people did it back in the day. You can kill a tiger if you have a bunch of vicious dogs. It does not matter how long it takes, after a while he will want to die. That is how Jin Seong wants to kill a tiger, by attacking him like a bunch of dogs would attack a tiger. When suddenly someone dents the door, which catches everyone by surprise. They take a closer look and see that the iron door has been dented. Then suddenly more dents appear in the door. Jin Seong orders someone to go check it out. One of the lackeys thinks it is some crazy jerk and walks toward the door. He takes a look through the peephole and sees Park Han-jun holding their friend by his hair. Everyone panics and gets ready to get their weapons. Jin Seong stays calm and tells them they should not worry because no one can break through that door. He tells them that they should leave him and he will leave after a while. The pounding stops and they think he really left, and they feel relieved thinking that even he is scared of all of them. They see something which surprises the lackey, who looks and screams out of confusion. Han-jun is climbing to their floor and breaks their window to get in their flat. Jin Seong cannot believe it, as this is the third floor. Han-jun jumps in and kicks one of the lackeys in his face. The lackey falls to the ground unconsciously. The other lackeys immediately get ready to hit Han-jun with their weapons. He invades by kicking one and grabbing the other one by his collar to throw him toward another lackey. He then punches all three of them into the wall, where they stay unconscious. Han-jun stands in the middle of the living room and looks at everyone. He then utters one of the most badass things in this story. Next.